Recording. Hey everybody, Dan Kroll here again for the Britt, Kanawha, West Hancock Athletics Podcast. This is episode 12. On episode 11, I talked with the Gopels, Stacy and Seth. We talked all things West Hancock football. I just want to thank everyone again for watching this and supporting the Legacy Fund. As of these first 11 episodes, I have over 4,000 views. So thanks for watching. It's just been a fun project. Today, though, on my left here, I have Nate Schreur, a former West Hancock athlete in the early 90s and possibly the world's nicest guy. So thanks for coming on with me, Nate.
Oh, Dan the man, thanks for having me. I'm excited, a little bit nervous. I remember when you asked me, I'm like, why are you asking me? There's all these legends at West Hancock, from Mr. Brum to, well, some of my classmates are champions, but you said, Nate, you can do it. You encouraged me just like Mr. Sanger would encourage. So see, look, I'm rambling already. So anyway, I'm excited.
Perfect. Yep. Yeah, before we get to Nate, though, I have to get to our sponsors here. Michael and Brianne Ewing of Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company with locations in Britt, Kanawha, Clarion, Belmont, and Dow's. Mike is a 1998 graduate of West Hancock, and his family's been privileged to care for the communities of Britt and Kanawha since 1977. You can go to ewingfh.com or on Facebook, or you can give them a call at 843-3839 or 762-3211. Again, that's Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company. Ag Performance sponsored the last episode. I could not figure out how to change my background screen. I've been working on that for about 20 minutes. So Ag Performance, my brother, get some free advertising tonight. If you'd like to sponsor an episode, feel free to message me anytime. I'm going to start, and I have been starting to hit up some businesses outside of the Britt and Kanawha communities. So if you want to sponsor, that'd be awesome. I'm looking for some long-term sponsors to keep this thing going. Real quick here, let's catch up on West Hancock summer sports. The baseball team is 6-14 on the season. On the 10th, which is Saturday, they play West Bend Mallard at Newell Fonda in the first round of districts. That game is at 5 o'clock. If we win that game, we'll play more than likely Newell Fonda at Newell on the 13th. Newell Fonda plays North Union that same night on the 10th. The softball girls, they ended their season last night with a 10-7 loss to North Iowa in the first round of regionals. I was looking on Twitter. They scored 3 runs in the first inning, but couldn't hold on to win that game. They finished with a 2-23 record, and I'm pretty sure they're a pretty young team. Also, the school is working on fundraising efforts to build a new greenhouse. Contact the school to find out how you can help fund the greenhouse. And also in Britt on July 21st from 6 to 10 p.m., there's the Britt Car, Truck, Bike, and Tractor Night. I talked to the people running that, and they said it's a free event. They're going to have a caricature artist, a magician, a clown, mini golf for the kids, among all the other things. So head on up to downtown Britt on the 21st for that event. And I always like to remind people what the Sanger Legacy Fund is for. It was created to honor Coach Bob Sanger, the late, great Coach Bob Sanger, and his wife and former teacher of ours, Mrs. Linda Sanger. They both obviously taught and coached at Britt and West Hancock for over 50 years and impacted thousands of lives. The Legacy Fund raises money to help the communities of Britt and Kanawha, and more specifically, the West Hancock School and the athletics and activities. Please consider giving to the Sanger Legacy Fund. You can go to sangerstrong.com to donate, sangerstrong.com. If you want to automate your giving, you can do that there as well. And thanks, as always, to Alex Ward for making that Sanger Strong site really easy to use. Also, the Sanger Cornhole or bags boards. I'll give more details at the end and on my write-up, but make sure you buy some raffle tickets to raise money for the Legacy Fund. I have another sponsor tonight, not Ag Performance, but the guy sitting on the other side of the computer. Nate wanted to sponsor his own episode and shout out some of his buddies. So Nate, have at it.
All right. Well, thanks again, Dan, for doing this. This is amazing. And I wanted to give 4 separate times to represent myself, honor me, and also Rick Sanger and John DeLeon, and you did both of them on your podcast earlier, and Chad Trulson, who's coming up, and they're all 92 grads like me, all friends. So shout those guys out, man. John DeLeon still looks like he has that 5% body fat like he did in high school. That guy, it was so cool to watch him talk about his dad. That was heartwarming, and see Rick talk about his dad. I look forward to seeing Chad talk too. But yeah, so anyway, shout out to those guys.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, they were a lot of fun to talk to, and talking to Chad a little bit about his episode and how we got to keep that thing PG as best as possible. So, yep.
I just want to hear his wrestlebacks. Oh man, that guy was a machine.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that. That'll be fun because obviously when you're winning state or going to the championship match, you're wrestling pretty much once a day or maybe twice in one day. When you lose that first match or whatever and you have to wrestle back, you have to go through the gauntlet just to get back to that third place match. So that'll be fun to talk to him about that. So like you said, you graduated in 92. What about you and your family in 2021 though? What are you guys up to these days?
Okay, well, yeah, I graduated in 92, went to college at Dordt College in Sioux Center. That's where I met my wife, Catherine. We got married. We met in the music building at Dordt, and I was a senior, she was a freshman. I robbed the cradle a little bit, Dan, but anyway, we got married in 2000. That's, if I did that, I knew that I would always remember how many years I've been married. So 21 years. So that worked out. So I grew up in the farm north of Kanawha. She grew up in a ranch in middle of nowhere, Nebraska, in the sand hills of Nebraska. So we have our hobo days we celebrate. They celebrate middle of nowhere days, and they really do. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, literally. She does it. She is a Huskers fan. So that, I know, right? And I'm a Hawkeyes fan. So that's kind of tough marrying a Nebraska girl, but
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I know. But in that very isolated country, it is really beautiful. On that ranch, it looked out into canyons and kind of like reminds me of the Black Hills area. So that was really cool. And that's maybe where she got her. She was quite the runner. She would run up and down those canyons, and kind of a state champion in Nebraska, and has records at Dordt yet. Well, I think maybe some of them are broken. I know she's got the 500 yet. I did tell her, man, since you're married, you got to change those records to Schreur, because no Schreur will ever have a track record. But anyway. So yeah.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, wishful thinking. Let's see here. Now we live in a town of Sanborn, a great community, 1,400 people. If you go from Britt straight west 2 hours, it's right on Highway 18. So like a half hour to Algona, Emmetsburg, Spencer, and then our town of Sanborn. And we've lived here ever since we've been married, so it really feels like home. Put our roots down here, got a lot of good friends and family, and yeah, it's just been a blessing to us. We live right across the street from our church, just a block from school, and yeah, we have 3 kids. Been blessed to get 3 kids through adoption. Our oldest, Cheyenne, is 19, and she graduated from high school, and she's going to attend Dordt for their 2-year ag program. Then we've got a daughter, Aaliyah, and Aaliyah is going to be at 7th grade at Sanborn Christian. And then we've got our son, Nathan, and he will be a 7th grader at Harle Melvin Sanborn. So yeah, that's us.
And HMS plays West Hancock again this year in football. I don't know if you knew that.
Well,
the playoffs, and now they're going to be a non-district game coming up, so that'll be fun.
Oh, really? Okay, so I have a story about that. I was going to do it. So I got my West Hancock shirt on, right? And I've been opening up at Sanborn Christian here for 20 years. We play Tuesday night basketball, and a bunch of guys from a bunch of different schools come. But those guys were giving me a hard. Why are you wearing that West Hancock shirt? The guys from Harle Melvin Sanborn, especially after they got beat this year in the playoffs. But they're a good little team. They're going to get
good this year.
Pretty good, I think. So anyway.
Yeah. You wanted to mention too, you coach and ref. What do you do?
Yeah.
What's that look like?
Yeah. So yeah, that's great. Thanks for asking, Dan. I'll start with reffing. I have reffed for like 21 years, since 2000. I'm the most confident, I guess, in basketball. That's what I've done the most of, mostly just at the junior high level. And Harle Melvin Sanborn has just kind of extended their contract to me, all their home games for the last 21 years. So I was trying, when you talked about that, I tried to figure it out, and I do 7th and 8th grade girls, 7th and 8th grade boys, A and B games. So at least 40 games there a season. And then if I add in like Sanborn Christian, Sheldon Christian, some of the other schools that I do, at least 50. So I have probably reffed at least 1,000 games, and that's been pretty good. But it's a lot of fun. Usually pretty much good sportsmanship most of the time. I've enjoyed it, but there's definitely a need. There's definitely a need for refs out there of all kinds. So Dan, if you want to get into reffing, they're always.
I don't know. How many technicals have you given?
So I have not given out any technicals. It's crazy all these years, but let's see. I do have a few stories. Let's see here. What's one of them? So I used to ref a lot of years with a guy named Steve Hollis, and he actually just passed away this past year from pancreatic cancer. So pray for his family. But I did a lot of games with him, and at the junior high level, I remember the first game we refed, we went into triple overtime. And then after that, he would always tell me, Nate, we'd get to the end of the game of Coastal, let's stay out of overtime. You can't handle, you can't decide that. But, and then, at that level, we were known for, we'd call stuff, we'd call the fouls and the reaches and the stuff. And usually teams would, okay, these guys are going to call it. It's not like your AAU basketball. They're going to, but one time these girls, I think it was Harle Melvin Sanborn, 7th grade versus George Little Rock. And these girls just kept fouling and fouling and fouling. And we had double bonus in the first quarter, I think, and double bonus in the second half. So we ended up fouling out 3 girls from HMS and 4 from, where did I say, George Little Rock? So yeah. And then I got a bunch of reffing stories. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So another reffing story is one time we were doing it, we had 22 jump balls in girls junior high.
Oh,
yeah.
That seems like a small amount actually compared to what I've seen sometimes. It's unreal.
Okay. Yeah.
It's brutal.
I couldn't believe it. But what I also do, let's see, what else do I do for reffing? I do a little soccer, volleyball. I even got to do, my friend is a ref for the Sioux City Bandits football team, so I got to run chain gang for that. I couldn't believe how sore it was. I did that this year. It was a blast, but I was really sore after that. What else? Oh yeah, a couple other stories. My daughter Aaliyah just got started playing 6th grade volleyball, so I'm up there reffing, and she had the first couple games she wasn't able to get her serve over like a lot of 6th graders, But this one game she gets up there, she sails it over. And instinctively, I blow my whistle. Foot fault. She's, she just barely stepped on the line. And it's at the home crowd. They're like, "Boo! You're calling your own daughter on this," but had to do it. Yep. That's part of the reffing. So.
Yep. Oh man.
Oh, yep. And then one more story about reffing, and then I'll move on. I thought it was going to be. She joined 6th grade traveling team. Aaliyah did. So I thought, good, I can be incognito. I can just go in the stands and just watch a game for once instead of reffing. This will be fun. So I just sneak into the back, and all of a sudden I'm looking around and I can see both of the coaches looking into the stands. I'm like, oh, the refs hadn't showed up. So each of them had to get, so they, point me out. So I go out to the van, and a PE teacher, I've got a lot of whistles, but I'm in my street clothes, Dan. So whatever, the game's going fine. I'm already making excuses, but the ball, like usually does, gets pinned up in between the backboard and the rim, how it sometimes does in the junior high game. And up to this point with Steve, all those years, I'd always been able to just quick jump up and get it because it's not that high up, but like woo. But this time I'm in my street clothes. I jump up, embarrassment, touch the ball, but don't get it. I'm not able to get the ball down, right? Then this other young guy that I'm with, he just leaps right up there, grabs it. So that was my embarrassing moment. And I never had a chance to redeem myself because we'd never had the opportunity anytime this season. So hopefully next season I'll be able to get that ball.
Hopefully the ball gets stuck.
But yeah, so there's a few reffing stories for you.
Yeah,
like I said,
I have a reffing story for you then.
Oh,
when I was a senior, Mr. Drake, the old basketball coach, would let us as seniors referee those little kids tournaments.
Oh yeah.
I got the privilege to ref a couple games with him doing 4th grade girls basketball at the West Hancock gym. And we were letting pretty much everything go because otherwise that's all you'd be doing is blowing your whistle.
Yeah, you have
a dad in the stands screaming at us, travel, 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 double dribble, travel. And after about 10 minutes of that, Mr. Drake stopped the game, turned to that guy and said, "What do you want us to do?" And the guy said, "I want you to call the game as the rule book states." And so Mr. Drake looked at me and he goes, "Call everything you see." The girls would inbound the ball, I'd call a travel. We'd hand the ball to the other team, they'd inbound it, we'd call a travel. Constantly. That same
Yeah.
dad started yelling at us, "Let the girls play the game. What are you doing?"
Call it both ways.
Mr. Drake took his whistle off, walked up into the
That's
bleachers,
perfect.
and handed the guy the whistle and said, "You do it." And the guy's like, "I'm not doing it." So yeah, I agree
Love
with
it.
you. Finding refs is hard because they got to put up with a lot of crap, a lot of rowdy fans and parents that think they know everything. So yeah.
I like
Anyway,
handing the whistle. That's good. Anyway, that was good.
yeah. So you grew up in Kanawha. Walk us through what life was like in Kanawha. And then one thing you brought to my attention was you're kind of dualed. Your freshman year was in Kanawha High School, and then your sophomore year you started going to West Hancock. So kind of tell us
Right.
growing up and
Okay.
then
I'd love
kind of that
to.
merger. How'd that go?
Can I quick backtrack first, Dan?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yep.
Can I talk about coaching a minute? So I coach track, and it's just junior high level, so it's pretty basic. But I can see why Coach Sanger and Hoggy really loved doing that, because it's just a fun sport because you can get your personal best and things. So, like for example, this year I was thinking of some of the athletes there, and like Molly, and she was towards the end of the pack, but she got her personal record. I'm like, Molly, I'm so proud of you, right? And or Sydney and Sammy, they're working so hard. They're so nervous before the meet, but you're
Yep.
just calming their nerves, or just teach them different things. They're amazed. And Mr. Schreur, you can still get over the hurdles. I'm like, barely, yeah, but I can show you how to do it. So just some of those things, or like a Jackson who more there, I just had to encourage, because he knew he was going to get this mile record, and he just worked his butt off, and he was able to, get that record. Or a Shane who broke not just the school record in the shot put, but do you remember Kyle Vandenbosch? He broke his record. So, I mean, it's just sometimes you get some of those cool stories where you get to coach these kids and encourage them, and at that starting level. But it's pretty cool. Anyway, that's my what I coach in track, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to, you asked about Kanawha and joining.
Growing up, just what was it like growing up Kanawha, going to West Hancock, the merger, all that good stuff?
Okay. So, I grew up in the farm, like I said, so you got to do the good farm stuff, like baling hay and walking beans and shelling corn and all that good stuff. But for schooling, I went to Kanawha Christian, and that was a really small little school. We had 5 kids in our graduating class from 8th grade. It was Tammy Lau, Michelle Hill, Larry Tierhart, Chuck Christians, and myself. But we loved sports back then, so any free time we had, we'd be playing all the sports and trying the different things. And I remember, we had this one little grade school track meet that we trained for all the time. And I got a taste of what it's like to not be the best right away back in 8th grade. So I'd go ahead and, oh, good job, Nate. You have the new school record for the long jump. Great job. And then Chuck Christians would jump. Oh, never mind. You had it for a minute. Now he has it. Or good job, Nate. You just broke the all-time school record of the 880. It was 880 back then. And then Chuck would run it. Oh, never mind. Now he has the record. So at least I was on a couple relays with him. But I'll get to Chuck more in high school too. But Chuck could dunk the basketball back in 8th grade. He really could. That was crazy. And I could barely touch the rim, but Coach had a pretty easy game plan for us. As an 8th grade team, we were pretty good. Just pretty much dribble the ball in and get it to Chuck. So that's what we did, and had some success with that. So we went from our 3 kids that went from Kanawha Christian in 8th grade to Kanawha. We were the Bulldogs, and that was like for us. Oh man, 23 kids. This is the big time, right? But it was Kanawha was a great teachers, great place. It felt like a family. My older brother Tim was in the class of '89, so he was the last graduating class. 16 kids in that class, and just enjoyed going there. I have a confession story. So a locker story about Kanawha, and then I'll transition that into a locker story about Britt. So we had our lockers at in Kanawha, and you just go in there. And I remember we had a study hall in the library, and we would every Friday we would have a group, and we would go to Sarah Kitterman's locker. We'd take turns, and we'd open up the locker, and we would borrow her assignment for geography. So I'm throwing some people under the bus, and we were doing it just to check our answers. So Sarah, that's our confession story. Unbeknownst to her that we went into her locker without a lock on it, but we went and checked our answers. So who am I going to throw under the bus? Was at that table probably Scott Sobek, Chuck, Buka. I'm sure Jen Weiss and Nikki Hovland. They're pretty naughty, but anyway, all those. So we did that. That was our locker story in Kanawha. All right, but then I got the first. Then we joined sophomore year, and we went to West Hancock. I remember the first thing walking in there. The first thing I see, we're all, well, maybe I'll speak for myself, but we went from a class of 23 to 65, and this is bigger classrooms, we're in Britt. The first thing is CT Trulson smashing his hand against the locker, and Chad right behind him looking at us like, okay, kind of preparing. All right, guys, you're in Britt now. The expectations are high, right? We do things a certain way. Turned out they were just passionate about things, and they're great. You got a Marine and a professor, so they're great guys. But I think of all the great teachers, but the expectations were high. Even, I don't know, Mrs. Weed, the Spitfire music teacher. We walk in there and says, well, we've got Division I's 32 years in a row with girls glee, so let's get this going. So, but I think Kanawha, we were kind of the same small town work ethic type of people too. So I think we melded together, in my opinion, within the first few days. The Britt, people thought, how's this going to go? Joining two schools, is going to work out? But first few days, for sure, the first weeks or so, we were able to just. What we got here?
See that?
So we were able, that's my senior picture. Oh boy.
Yeah, had to show that.
Yeah, so we melded together well as a group, and we had one thing though. The Kanawha kids were late, I think, the first week of class because we could not get those stinking combinations open in our lockers. So that was crazy.
Really scary.
I know. But we had people welcoming us. Like, who do I all remember? Brent Nedved or Doug Weiland, Travis Hagen. They all made us feel special. So when oh wow, there I am. Look at these.
Yeah,
that's cool. One other person who really I want to talk about quick, Jason Newbrow. He was one of the most unassuming, cool guys around, and he was one of my first friends from Britt, and he just had those kind eyes and went right up to you and said, hey, how you doing? And hey, my name's Weezer. They call me Weezer because I have asthma and I wheeze, but I got to run track with this guy. He's just a great kid. I was in Mr. Chelberg's class with him and became good friends. And then he passed away the next year after a football game. So just want to pray for his family and think of him. So.
Yeah. When I was actually doing some research for some of my stuff, that article, I came across that article, and I hadn't even known about that because I was, obviously 4 or 5 years old. But yeah, that was crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So let's get into some sports here. You
Thanks for those
baseball.
Pictures, by the way.
What's that?
Thanks for those pictures. Whoa, that's some flashbacks there.
There's more coming. Don't worry. You played baseball, you played basketball, and you ran track. Just doing a quick little research on baseball. Obviously you played Kanawha your first year, and then your last 3 years were at Britt or at West Hancock. One thing that stuck out to me, your junior year, your record was 7-20-2, which I didn't know you could tie in a baseball game. I always thought they went extra innings and played until there was a winner, but you guys tied them 2-2 in the regular season in the first game. And in the second game against Forest City, you lost to them 29-3.
That's a misprint. That can't be possible.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I remember getting crushed one time and running a lot of laps. I remember that, but I do not remember 29-3. But I mean, it's
might
printed.
Be a misprint. Who knows? But that stood out to me in my research. So, baseball coach, was it Ziesman? How do you say his last?
Kevin Ziesman. So we got to do 5 years of baseball. So my first year, you got to go after your 8th grade year. Yep. So then I got to play that year, and Kevin Ziesman, he was my coach all 4 years until the senior year. But yeah, I thought a lot of Kevin, or Mr. Ziesman, and he was good. The first year we wore our yellow Bulldog uniforms. I played right field. I think we were, I don't know what our record was, 50-50, but we were fine. But I remember getting the most improved player award. So I was proud of that because I learned a lot, and that was really cool. And yeah, Ziesman, he was a good coach. The sophomore year we played with Korth Wesley Laverne. So we had a pitcher, Mark Aarons, and he was really lights out. And Dion Wingert was really good. So we had some good guys that joined us from there. And I think, if I remember right, we won the conference because I think I remember Mr. Tweeten say, "You guys need to smile for your picture because you won the conference." But
Nice.
then those years at Britt, Kevin or Mr. Ziesman came with us. So I guess my memories of baseball, just getting good friendships with these guys and just working hard, and coaching is really cool. And Mr. Ziesman, he was a believer in the fundamentals, and we worked and worked and worked on those fundamentals. And we did everything from the crow hops to we backed up every time. We were the first one, you sprint out on the field and you sprint back and you play a classy ball. So that meant a lot to me, and his the way he went about things and his faith that he showed, that was good. I think he's gone on to be quite a successful guy too. So those are a few memories I did. And senior year, we did pretty good. We got to third round and we got beat 1-0. I remember Rick talking about this.
Yeah.
So I had to look that up, getting beat 1-0. And the pitcher was Dion Wingert for Garrigan, who played with us for when we played with Korth Wesley Laverne.
Oh,
he shut us out. And guess who had the last strikeout? Who ended his career with a strikeout?
You?
Right here. I was the last. Yep. So.
No, that happens.
So that was baseball.
Yep. How about basketball? You were telling me your first year was at Kanawha, like we said, 13-8, and then you went to Britt, West Hancock for your last 3 years. Your sophomore year, you guys were 12-9, won a playoff game. Your junior year, you were 9-10, lost in the first round. Your senior year, you guys were 5-13, lost in the first round, but 2 close games with Forest City. And if anyone follows Northern Iowa basketball, Forest City's been kind of the team to beat in that conference for decades on, mostly on, but just a couple down years here and there. One thing you wanted to talk about was your perfect game against Lake Mills.
Yeah. So, well, I'll backtrack a bit. So freshman year, yeah, I just played JV, but some of these guys from Kanawha, my older brother played and looked up to him, and Chad Johnson and Kerry Hipp and all those guys. So they were pretty good, but I just remember, there's pictures of me playing ball. Woo. Then that was fun playing with those guys, but I remember just trying to get better, going to open gyms and working hard on that. Yeah. Then sophomore year at Britt, I played a little varsity, but not too much. Then I got to start varsity my junior and senior year. But yeah, junior year, a story from that year was when we played Forest City in the playoffs, and Chuck Christian slammed it before breakaways. The backboard went shattering down, and the crowd goes wild. All the kids are going out there getting the pieces of the backboard and doing that. And our crowd is yelling, "Backboard, backboard." Well, Forest City's crowd is yelling, "Scoreboard, scoreboard," because they beat us by quite a ways. But we had an exciting time. That was our junior year. Then comes senior year. We were expected to actually be pretty good, and our record was disappointing that year. A lot of it was due to some injuries. Kevin Eisman, Air Larry, Chris Cooley, and Buka, they all were injured, so we were kind of running short. But come on, just pretend I'm dunking that one.
Yeah, reverse layup's pretty good.
Reverse layup, look out! I probably jammed it. No, that's about as high as I get. But I remember, so Lake Mills. This was during that senior year, and something cool about West Hancock sports, right? We're not having the best year, but those fans, they're cheering us on regardless, and that was really neat because my mom took all this video. You look at old video, and it's like, man, these guys are supporting us so much, no matter what we did. So that was cool. So the Lake Mills game was kind of cool because I went 9 for 9 from the free throw line. I was kind of proud of that, and I went 5 for 5 from the field goal percentage. which isn't that impressive because basically I only shot bunnies. But
I've missed several of those. Yeah.
I still had to make 5 for 5. So that was like, ooh, the perfect game. I'm sure it wasn't perfect in every aspect, but that night and that time I didn't miss. So that was pretty cool. And it was in the last couple minutes. It was tied 47-47, and I made the last 6 free throws to ice the game. So that was
Nice.
fun. But yeah.
I want to go back real quick to the backboard shattering. Was it in Britt or was it in Forest City?
It was in Forest City, yep.
What did they do at that point? Did they have to install a new hoop and just have a delay?
Yeah, they went to their multi-purpose room in a different building and had to, they had the janitors install, take the old one down, put that one up. So I mean, I don't know exactly how much. I'm sure it was at least a half hour to get that all.
Yeah, because you don't really have a backup plan for that. You just have to improvise if it happens. You don't expect it to happen. So
no, you don't.
Yeah.
So a couple things. So I talked about Chuck earlier and getting ready for second place. So I was looking up stats and I was second in our whole conference. I was second in rebounds that year. I had 140 rebounds that senior year. Like, well, that's pretty good. Well, but I was also second on our team because Chuck beat me in that. He had 141. So. So we were both, so I was still second place to Chuck. But I give some of those guys a hard time. Well, why did I get so many rebounds? Were you guys missing all those 3-pointers? But they could probably give me a hard time too. Say that's probably because you missed the first one and had to get your own rebound and get the second one.
Reggie Evans for the Hawks padding his stats like back in the day.
Right? So those are, man, this is fun to. These memories. It's been a long time, Dan. But
one thing you wanted me to have you talk about was the relationship between the wrestlers and the basketball players. What do you mean by that?
Oh yeah. So that was, we'd give each other such a hard time. I know they would give Kevin Eisman, his name became Pumpkin because he was a pumpkin pusher. We were the pumpkin pushers and they were the wrestlers, and we'd go back and forth. But in actuality, we played all the other sports together, and it was just a mutual respect, and we'd kind of push each other on. And I just actually gained such a respect for those wrestlers, and they would come to our games. We would watch them at their meets, and it was pretty cool to get to know them. Of course, Mr. De Leon, like he would be kind to everybody. That guy just, he demanded respect, and you just wanted to cheer him on and do that. One of my favorite quotes is from him. Maybe share that later.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to track here.
Okay.
You have a story you want to talk about, a regret, but first of all, just to give some context between how you guys did, your junior year, you guys were second in the conference, but third at state. And then your senior year, you were also second at conference, but you guys won the state championship, which that always floors me, how you don't even win your own conference, but you can win the state championships. That just shows how the state meet kind of is set up compared to like an actual meet. But talk quick about Coach Sanger, Coach Hauge as your track coaches. And then you said you have an eerie similarity between your family and the Sangers. You want to talk about what we're talking about, Coach?
Yeah. So, Coach Sanger, I mean, what a legend, right? And what an amazing guy. And I just remember he would give you a talk and you would be inspired and you'd be listening and I'm going to do whatever it takes, whatever you say. At the meets, you could hear his voice around let's go, let's get after it, get out of your comfort zone, things like that. I mean, it just made you want to do your best. Mm-hmm. And for me, I was I'd get a 4th, 5th place ribbon. I wasn't these guys that were getting first place every time, but when Coach Sanger talked to you, he made you feel like you were the most important person, and it was all those points counted. And that's the kind of coach, or person I want to be too, because it doesn't matter where you're at. He is right there and just with you. And that's cool. I remember Brian Friesman and I, we'd be going out on our long runs around, because we were more of the long distance guys, and we'd have to run around Britt. And we'd be thinking, those sprinter guys, they're just working on handoffs and stuff right now. But then sure enough, there's Sanger running with us. I mean, the guy was amazing. So much respect and so much that I could go on about him. But actually, can I go back? I mean, actually, Coach Rang, I had a lot of respect, and for him too. Coach Rang, he was out there. He taught me so many post moves and so much about, he taught me, how to do those free throws and get that same rhythm. So yeah, the coaching all around, it just meant a lot to me. And there's so many good guys showing their faith, their work ethic, their examples, and they led by example. So it was neat.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I wanted to throw out tonight is that article you said you read about the podcast and stuff that was in the Britt paper. I've gotten some stuff like people think I'm patting my own back or doing this for my own recognition. I just want to tell people, and I think most people know this, but like I love the Sanger so much, and especially Coach Sanger for all he did for me. And so that's why I do this podcast. That's why I did the record book. That man meant a lot to me, and Mrs. Sanger meant a lot to me, and Mr. Drake, and all the other coaches I had. And so I just, it's just crazy. You live in Sanborn, I live in Indianola, and we're doing a podcast about West Hancock. It's just neat that guys like Coach Sanger and others just make us want to be better people and to give back and to do good things. So it's just a cool bond we have as West Hancock alum. So
yeah,
all right. Tell us about your regret. You said you regretted something during track season.
Yeah, there I am. And Sanger goes to me. He goes, Nate, you're a senior, and you have the good enough time that I want you to be the alternate for the 4x800 at state that senior year when we won state. I'm thinking, well, this is great. But baseball coach is like, well, Nate, we have a baseball game that day against Woden Crystal Lake. What do I do? And I have FOMO, or I still have that to this day, fear of missing out. I don't know what to do. So I choose the baseball game. Yeah. And looking back, I'm like, man, I could have been holding sweats for these guys, not even have to work at it and being state champions, but I still was part of the team. But you know how it is. It's not the same. So I regret that. My consolation though, Dan, is this. I did make it. You always dream of making a catch over the wall. Well, Woden Crystal Lake didn't have that. They had like a cable wire in the outfield, but I caught one of them, so I was leaning over the cable wire. So a little bit of consolation, but not too much.
But you know what Coach Sanger would say. You were just as much a part of that state championship as anybody.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly. Yep.
You guys won 6 regular season meets that year, and you said you were taking home 4th and 5th place ribbons. That's 2, 3, 4 team points every time. So
that's what you guys
were all,
right?
Yeah, you know how he would respond to that. So, yeah.
Yep.
So you had a good experience growing up, and like we were talking about, just kind of a special place West Hancock is. You mentioned your family and your job earlier. You're a PE teacher at Sanborn Christian. You have a wife. You've adopted 3 kids. I just think we need to take some time and talk about how your family came to be, and then your youngest. With adoption and stuff. What did that process look like? How'd that come to be with you guys? Because I have tons of respect for people who adopt. That's a tough thing to do.
Thanks for asking. It's kind of a tough road that they had to go through. They were in the foster care system, all 3 of our kids, and we adopted them all. So they had some tough things that they went through, and it's not because their parents didn't love them. They loved them completely, but they just had these addictions that they couldn't get over, and that's just a kind of a sad thing. But there was a great foster family just a few blocks from us, and they approached us and they said, "Hey, what do you guys think of fostering?" And we said, "Well, I don't know, maybe." And then, we fell in love right away. Our first daughter we adopted, Cheyenne. She was 5.5 when she came to live with us, and we adopted her, and that was just such a blessing. And Cheyenne is her name. We didn't have to name any of her kids; they were pre-named. But Cheyenne, Catherine, my wife, has a sister Cheyenne, so that's wild. So we got little Cheyenne and Aunt Cheyenne, and then we've got Aaliyah, again from that same foster family. This is a few years later, and she was 14 months when she came to live with us, and then little Nathan was born to them, or went into the foster system too. So they're pretty close, and they have the same biological parents, but had some addictions. But yeah, so we got them the year after. So within 2.5 years, we had 3 kids, and it was a blessing. And Nathan, that's my name. I would have probably not called our kid Nathan, but that was his name. So we thought, all right, that's pretty cool. And the girls, it's a blessing. Yeah, we didn't name any of our kids, but the girls have an incredible love for horses, and my wife grew up in that ranch in Nebraska, so she was able to do that. We live in town, but we have this adopted horse grandpa and horse grandpa, Cork and Carol Buseman. They have let us keep horses out at their farm, and so those girls just love doing that. I really don't know what I'm doing with it, but they love it. So,
Yep.
but yeah.
Yep. And tell us
And then
about
there's
Nathan.
Nathan.
He's a special needs kid. He has autism, and I wanted to bring it up because you post things about autism and about Nathan online on Facebook, and it's amazing to read. It's always spot on. What can you tell us? And I'm going to pull up a picture here while you're talking about Nathan. What can you tell
Okay.
us about your little guy?
Well, you said blessing before, and that sums it up. He is a huge blessing in our life. All of them are, but Nathan is such a blessing. He's such a neat kid, and he's loved by so many people, and he just has a special place in our hearts. And there's him and his basketball team, and I got to talk about that. But he just is. So many people love him. So many great teachers at HMS, Mrs. Anlicker, Mrs. Tees, Mr. Gloden. I could go on. All these people just helping him out, Mrs. Prinz, but they all love him. He's kind of naughty. He at first, when we learned that he had autism, it was tough, but you kind of could see some signs, and we're wondering, will he be verbal? Will he be able to learn? And yeah, he has some things that he struggles with, but he's come such a long ways.
Mm-hmm.
And he has different gifts that some of the rest of us don't have, right? I mean, he has little talents that like you wouldn't believe. So he can put Legos together like nobody, and or he can road signs. We'll take road trips, and he knows the next. Prospect Avenue is next, or Oak Hill Avenue, or Summit Street. Like, how do you know this? So there's certain things that he really excels at. But you're showing these pictures, and this reminds me of something really cool. So they asked him to join the fifth grade. Here's the fifth grade boys. You got a picture of fifth grade boys, and they gave him the MVP award at the end. So signed by all his teammates. It's really special. And this is sixth grade year. They gave him this at the end of the year. He's in the middle there holding the ball, and you can see Coach Buddy, and all these guys just love Nathan. And so Coach Buddy, like 6'4", big guy, but he's so good with these kids, and especially Nathan. And so when we go to games, I'll sit at the end of the bench with Nathan. First, we have to hit the concession stand, so we get our blue Gatorade, our Twix, our popcorn. So that's just important. And he's at the end of the bench, and everybody loves him. And then when Buddy calls your name, Nathan, it's your turn to go in, right? So, and Buddy will be like, Nathan, and he goes in. The other team this is the coolest thing about youth sports right here. Nathan goes in. He's kind of traveling, doing his thing. The other team kind of parts the way for him. He goes up there. He shoots his granny shot, and he usually makes it first time. Both crowds from both teams are like, "Yeah, go Nathan." He's giving high fives to both teams, and then he comes back to me and eats his Twix and his blue Gatorade and Snickers. He's back for that. And then he looks up and says, 2 volleyballs. And sure enough, the guy had noticed that there's 2 volleyballs in the rafters. So he's just a special, neat kid. And you think of all that people have done for him, Coach Buddy, more than a coach, right? To Nathan. There's Nathan. He's kind of like rubbing this guy's hand on the bench, or he's Coach Buddy had to blow his nose right in the middle of the game, different things, you don't think of normal kids, but everybody loves Nathan, and he's a blessing.
Yep. I always enjoy your posts about him and the family. And one thing I wanted you to talk about that I had at the beginning of our notes, but I'll just switch it up to here. About 4 times a day, you can go on Facebook and see a picture of you with your thumbs up on someone's birthday. Tell us about how that started. How many pictures do you have of thumbs up for birthdays like this?
Oh boy, there's Jaron. So I'm just a quirky, kind of weird guy, Dan, and I don't know exactly how it started. I mean, I think that was my go-to pose even back in the day. I do that, but I don't know how it started on Facebook. Well, Facebook makes it easy to remember birthdays. You can see whose birthday it is. I'm not really like an organized guy at all. There's Renee. But so I guess it started, and I just kind of this quirky thing, and people started, liking it. And even now there's some old ladies in church. Hey, I haven't got my birthday picture with you. I'm like, I better keep doing. Hey, who's that guy?
Here's the best one.
That guy looks like a
Yep, that was Rag Bry in Indianola a couple years ago. Yeah, and I don't know if you notice or pay any attention to who likes those birthday posts, but I think I like every single one of them on Facebook, and I don't even know most of the people. I'm just like, I just think it's awesome that just a fun, positive,
Oh,
uplifting thing means a little bit more than just
thanks for
saying
doing
happy birthday, So yeah, I
it.
just think
Hopefully
that's
bring a little joy.
yeah,
Thanks,
just
Dan.
yeah, but it's a quick, easy way to make someone's day. I mean, I always look forward to it. So you better not ever miss my birthday from this point on.
All right,
So
all right.
yeah, no pressure. September 25th.
We'll have to update it over Hobo Days. So
Yep. Alumni banquet. We'll be there.
there we
Yep.
go.
All right. So we got two more things on the agenda, and then we're gonna have a good time doing a dad joke pun joke off. So fun facts with Nate. What do you got for us?
Okay, fun facts, random fun facts. All right, here we go, Dan. Here we go. I'm a baseball geek, so I have been to 20 of the 30 baseball stadiums. So
Nice.
bucket list, I want to get to the other 10. I've been to 48 out of the 50 states. I got to go to Maine and Alaska yet. I've watched a whole bunch of cool sporting events. I watched my brother do an Ironman. I watched my wife run 4 marathons. I've watched my friend, who's a really good runner, win marathons. So then I take his medal from him and wear it around the rest
Pretend
of the
like
day.
you got it. Yep.
Pretend like I got it. Another fun fact: we went to in 1996. Some college buddies and I went to the Boston Marathon. That was the 100th running of the Boston Marathon. We were bandit runners. We snuck in with them, and we didn't train, of course. Why would you do that, right?
Yeah.
But that's back in the day. You're kind of in shape still. But I ran half of it, so 13.1 miles. And I remember my time at half was 2 hours and 11 minutes, and the winners. A couple of Kenyan guys were 2 hours and 7 minutes. So they ran 26.2 miles quicker than I ran half of that. So that's a crazy little thing. And then I've had a couple other fun facts. I've done some fun adventures from the Grand Canyon from the top to the Colorado River and back, and I've done some fun things like that. Done some cool hikes. This is before this was illegal, so there's a lot of signs now, but we did climb up to Mount Rushmore and touch Teddy's chin and Lincoln's lip. But don't do that. There's a lot of signs up now, so don't do that, and I don't condone that. But anyway, that was a lot of years ago. And your last fun fact about me is I'm a fainter, Dan. I have fainted. I thought, well, you got to get blood. That's a good thing to do, but every time I try to do it, I faint. And then I had a story where I took our little Nathan, I took him to a lab in Omaha to get some blood work, and he was getting some meds done. So they're like, well, this was a while ago, so we'll hold your little boy, so hopefully he does good. All of a sudden they're like, we got a fainter. And so I was out in the other room, and they're giving me liquids and stuff. Said, oh, your boy did fine. He did no trouble. You're the one that. So anyway, there's your fun facts about me that not too many people knew. So
I'm with you though. I don't faint, but I get like cold sweats and feel like I'm gonna pass out. When we were doing our IVF to have our boys, our fertility stuff, they'd be doing something to my wife and she'd be fine, and they would look at me and be like, are you all right? And my wife's like, I'm fine. She goes, no, him. Look over at him, and I'd be sweating bullets and ready to pass out.
oh no, oh
And
no.
then it doesn't matter what I do. Yeah, giving blood, I'm just drenched. So I feel you. So a good segue you wanted to talk about was your dad before we get into the dad jokes and puns. So tell us a little about your dad and kind of what he went through.
Okay, so yeah, my dad meant so much to me. He just was a great role model and spiritual leader, and just a great guy. And grew up working on the farm with him, doing all the stuff I talked about earlier, like walking beans and baling hay and things like that. But then he would always be at all our sporting events, and no matter how long he'd worked at night, he came home and would play catch with us, or shoot hoops with us, or do different things. So I really respected that. But he was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, when I was a junior. So he was able to still go to my events, but by the end, for my younger brothers, he had to. We'd help him up the bleachers, or my mom had to get special permission to take the van up to the baseball diamond, or up to the right close to the track, so he could watch that. And the last 5 years of his life, actually, when you get ALS, a lot of times it's 1 to 2 years before you die. But he he lasted for 10 years, but the last 5 he was on trach and respirator. And so it was a tough thing to see, but I was just so thankful for the years I did get to spend with my dad and for my mom taking care of him. That was really a great thing. And yeah, I guess just I wanted to encourage people, try to be, if I'm half the dad that he was, I think I'd be doing okay. And just try to, you're a mentor, you're an example to so many people, and you don't know how many years you have, so make the most.
When did he pass away then?
That was 2000, September 1, 2001. So it's been quite a while ago. So it was just a year after I got married.
Yep. And your younger brother is Aaron, right?
Yes.
Yes. I was a basketball manager when he played on the high school team. Yep. So I remember him a little bit. Yep.
Hey, can I quick say that weird Sanger and us?
So
you got Bob and Linda Sanger, Bob and Shar Schreur. Both they're in an acreage, we're on a farm. Their oldest son Kevin was the last graduating class from Britt in '89. My brother Tim was the last from Kanawha in '89. Then Rick and I, their son Rick and myself, we were '92 grads from West Hancock. Then their son Jeff and my brother Dan were '97 grads. Yep. So four kids. And then Aaron and Mark, they didn't quite. Aaron was in '99. I think Mark was a few years later. So it was almost perfect that four kids all in the same class. But I thought that was kind of a cool little weird.
Yep. So yeah, we're gonna end this thing with something we haven't done before, because I haven't had a guest on who appreciates the dad joke and the puns like I do. The shirt I wore tonight for it, it's hard to see. Well, that's not a good sign, and it's a sign that says bad. So we're gonna do a little battle here. We each have 15 jokes or puns, and hopefully he comes back. It'd be kind of awkward if I did this by myself at this point.
So here we go. Let's get this out here.
So what we're gonna do is Nate's gonna do a joke or a pun. Hold on, don't get too crazy yet. If I laugh or smile, he gets a point. I'm gonna tell my joke. If he laughs or smiles, I get a point, and we're gonna see who can get the most.
You can get all the points.
I'm gonna get a lot, but yeah, we'll give it a shot.
I want to see dad tricks, dad shirt, top dad like Top Gun. I liked your shirt better. You already get a point. But all right, let's do this.
$6shirts.com if you want some horrible dad joke pun shirts. Right. They're pretty great. So, do you want to go first?
I don't care.
Go for it.
Okay. Here we go. Why did Adele cross the road?
Why?
To sing "Hello from the Other Side." No laugh.
You get a point for that one. I smiled. That was terrible. All right, my turn.
All right.
I tried to catch some fog, but I missed. There we go. All right, here we go.
Yeah, I have to give the. Okay, here we go. My turn. I just deleted all the German names off my pre-owned iPhone. It's Hans free now.
Terrible. You get a point. All right, here we go. Serious face. Did you hear about the guy whose entire left side got blown up? He's all right now.
I'm not gonna win this game, Dan.
It's 2-2 right now, so I gotta try to get a serious face to stick for a few seconds. You get about 2-3 seconds where you gotta be serious before you can laugh.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Why do Eskimos wash their clothes in Tide? Because it's too cold outside.
Awful point for you. All right, my turn. 5 minutes after Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, he got a call about his car's extended warranty. 3-3.
I'm not going to win it. That's good. I like that. Oh, that's horrible. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Apparently, Arnold Schwarzenegger is making a movie about classical music. He'll be Bach. Ooh, good job.
I smiled. You got to get a point for that one. Ready? This is the fourth one. I went to the theater to watch a production about puns. It was just a play on words. 4-4.
Oh boy.
All right, here we go. I
What
gotta try
is-
to get a pointer. Ready? Go ahead.
What is Beethoven's favorite fruit?
I don't know.
Banana.
That is the worst one so far. Point Nate. Ready? Someone asked me who my favorite vampire is. I said that puppet on Sesame Street is my favorite. He said that he doesn't count. I assured him that he does.
Oh man, you're gonna get a point for everyone. Okay, maybe not.
I think
I'll
we
try to
both
think.
are at
Okay.
this point, so.
Okay. Why do I bring an extra pair of socks when I go golfing? In case I get a hole in one. Oh, you get a point. Good job.
No, we're tied 5-5.
Nope.
No point given there, so I'm pretty much in the lead.
You're in the lead.
What do you call someone who's mad that they can't have any bread? Lactose intolerant. Point. That
That's
puts
good.
me in the lead,
Point.
6-5.
All right.
Here we go.
Okay. How do you know if you met a dishonest hockey player? He lies through his tooth.
That's bad. 6-6, but I have the advantage because you've told one more joke. Or I have
Yep.
one of them, whichever way that goes. What's the difference between a pessimist and an optimist? A pessimist says it can't get any worse. An optimist says, oh, yes, it can. Yeah, point. 7-6.
Oh boy. Okay. Good
ahead.
job. What do you call a deer with no eyes? I have no idea.
I got to give you one. I was
Good
trying not to bust it, but I did. Point Nate. I eat life cereal every morning and every night. Just in case something happens to me, people can say, he was so full of life. You held on pretty good.
Close,
I'm
but I
gonna,
smiled. You get it.
I'm gonna give you that one. I think you held on pretty good. That was a bad one. All right, go ahead.
No, that was good. All right. My wife said I was immature, so I told her to get out of my fort.
I'm only not smiling because that was one of the ones I crossed off that since I had more jokes than you did. So I literally had that one prepared. So
Okay, so you
I was ready for that one. Here we go.
Good job.
Not to brag, but I defeated our local chess champion in less than 5 moves. Finally, my karate lessons have paid off. I think that was a good one.
Yeah, I like that. All right.
Your turn. It's 8-7, my lead, by the way.
Really. Did you hear about the movie Constipation? It hasn't come out yet.
That's one of my favorites. I actually got my father-in-law with that one the other day. He was excited to go to a movie with me. All right, here we go.
All right.
I ordered a chicken and an egg from Amazon. I'll let you know. Point. Terrible.
Oh, why is the nose located right here? It's the center. That was
You
a bad
get a
one.
point for just being terrible. 9-9. That was awful. All right. Can you hear me? It says my connection's unstable. Are we good?
I got you still.
Okay.
I-
Would you like to come to my time travelers meeting? It's last Thursday.
Oh
Point.
man, I'm not good at this.
I think you're
I had a joke about a broken pencil, but it's pointless. Oh.
No
Good
pointer.
job.
I teach 4th grade. I heard that one about 30 times last year from kids. So 10-9, I'm in the lead. Here we go. I hired an invisible man to work at my company. I had to fire him after just one day. My wife asked me why I fired the invisible man. I told her that I just couldn't see him doing the job. That's a point. You gotta get a straight game face on here soon. This is gonna be over.
I only have 3 left. Okay.
Me too.
According to a recent According to a recent survey, 6 out of 7 dwarves are not happy.
That's good. That's a good one. All right, here we go. 3 left for me, 2 left for you.
Okay.
Do you know the last thing my grandfather said to me before he kicked the bucket? Grandson, watch how far I can kick this bucket.
Oh, my word.
I thought you might have a chance on that one.
Oh, that's good. Oh, boy. Okay.
Ben.
I really like it when the Earth rotates. It really makes my day.
Terrible. Wow. That's even bad for my standards. All right, here we go. I got 2 left.
Go on.
My friend said to me, "What rhymes with orange?" And I said, "No, it doesn't."
That was good. Oh, I love these. Oh man, we need more.
We should have had.
All right,
like
last one.
Yep, last one for you, and I have one more.
Okay, what did the drummer call his twin daughters? And the 1 and the 2.
I wish I had twin daughters. That would have been even better. All right, this is kind of a long one, so bear with me.
Okay.
A group of friars were behind on their belfry payments, so they opened up a small florist shop to raise the funds. Since everyone liked to buy flowers from the men of God, the rival florist across town thought the competition was unfair. So, the rival florist hired Hugh McTaggart, the roughest and most vicious thug in town, to persuade them to close. Terrified, they closed. Thereby proving that Hugh and only Hugh can prevent florist friars.
Oh man!
If you're
breaking up a little bit, and I still laugh because
if you're keeping track at home, I won 15-12. That means you had a 0% rate of not smiling or laughing. So that was impressive. Good job. So,
all right.
Oh,
I have to
that was
donate
great.
now.
That was fantastic. So as we wrap things up here, that was awesome. Again, the Sanger Cornhole or Bags boards, thanks to Kurt Kopacik, class of 95, I believe, for coming up with this idea. He has a company in Georgia he works with for his company that made these cornhole bag boards. I've put them on Facebook a few times. They cost $275 to make. Kurt has donated that set so that all the proceeds for ticket sales will go to the Legacy Fund. As of this episode, I have 82 tickets sold, so about $410 that's going to go to the Legacy Fund. That means you have plenty of time and chances to win because we're not doing the raffle until mid to late August. $5 each, no limits on how many tickets you can buy. You can Venmo me, PayPal me, or send a check to my address. All that information will be on the write-up for this episode. Like I said, we'll do that drawing during the 96 football team episode. I know Nate's going to get off here and buy at least 5 tickets when we get off the.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I also wanted to shout out the West Hancock classes of 05, 06, 07, and 08. The other day, about 2 weeks ago, I went to the celebration of life for Tom Moore. The Moores were my next door neighbors growing up in Britt. Jake was one of my best friends. We played football together. I went up there to Sac City to be there for him. And by the time I got there, there was already like 15, 16 West Hancock grads, friends of Jake's and Haley's and Kate's, that came up there to be with the Moore family. I was pretty humbled by that because everyone had to drive at least an hour, 2 or 3 to get there. It just showed me the support that West Hancock has for each other. I just wanted to throw that out there and say that was a pretty neat thing. I always thought a lot about Tom, thought he was a nice guy, and Jake and I still talk to this day. So thanks again to Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company for sponsoring and serving the communities of Britt, Kanawha, Clarion, Belmont, and Dow's. And thanks again to Nate for coming on here and sponsoring and shouting out some of his classmates and friends. Next up, I've been working on notes just this week for the 1980 Girls State Championship basketball team. After that is one of your buddies, Chad Trulson, and then former coach Chuck Buseman, Russ King, who was the football coach before Coach Sanger, Aaron Rasmussen, and then the 96 State Championship football team, where we'll do the raffle. Rod Barkema, a Kanawha former coach, Ann Hagen, Brent Hagen, Jason Harle, Duane Cook, Rachel Leerar, Dave Smith, and Gene Gunther are going to be my next guests. I have those booked out till about next February. And then I'm also still trying to work on an extra episode. It's a guy from Britt who's in his late 90s, who played football back in the 40s. I want to do a quick episode with him one of these days. Just kind of difficult to get that lined up right now. Like always, don't forget to go to the Legacy Fund, sangerstrong.com, and donate. We have some great things coming up that we're going to use that money for. Nate, thanks again for coming on. You said you wanted to end this with a couple quotes and a couple bits of advice for us, so go ahead.
Thanks, Dan. And again, I thank you for doing this, man. Just this, what a great thing, the Legacy Fund. So thanks for all your work. It's incredible, just the amount of time you walked me through this, and I know you do it with everybody, and just getting people aware of that. So I'd encourage people, if you feel led to, just give to the fund, or give to even your local community that you live in, to the sports program or extracurricular, because that's really good for kids. But a couple quotes for you before we leave, if that's all right. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. The first one's from Mr. De Leon, actually, and I used his quote that he had on the board once, and I love this one. It's good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better best. And then a quote from Mr. Perkins I used to love: be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And then another quote I like is, if you see someone without a smile, give them yours. That's pretty deep, huh?
I'd hope after people watch this, they'd have that. So, yep.
People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And then here's a kind of a funny one: dance like nobody is watching, because they are not. They're just looking at their phones.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. But just, guys, everybody's a mentor to somebody. Everybody's a coach to somebody, and everybody's a leader to someone. So just go ahead and express your faith and be an example, and give it your all. So that's all I got, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Good deal. Good way to end it. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. Keep giving to the fund. Get those raffle tickets bought, and go Eagles.